All right, hello everyone. So I kind of wanted to do a sit down talking video because I have been kind of going through like a mental block for a while, and it obviously got triggered a lot with what happened very publicly with Colleen and Cody and everything, right? And I definitely think it's kind of affected my decision making, and I currently want to give you an update on what is happening and why it is happening, but I think I'm going to move out of Brighton, which is, let me get back into focus here. Hey, do you want to come into focus, Queen? There you go. Um, I think I'm going to move out of Brighton, which is a terrifying thought because I've been in Brighton for 3 years now, like over 3 years, and the thought of moving is terrifying. And last night, like I hit a mental wall where, not to like overshare or trauma dump, but I really was going crazy last night. Like going through every room, like sob crying, because I think I mentally have moved past Brighton now, if that makes sense. And one of the main reasons is for a while I've kind of been feeling very uninspired in Brighton. I moved here whenever I just turned 18, um, all by myself, away from my family and friends. I'd never been to Brighton before. And I've been here for 3 years, and a lot has happened within those 3 years. And within the past year specifically, I have kind of felt very like slumped or stumped. I don't know how to express this into words, but I have felt very like my world has never been smaller, if that makes sense. Like I started looking at Brighton how I looked at Derry. Stagnant is a good word, yeah. Where I just felt like I had done everything. I felt that there was nothing left for me to do. I felt that I had been to every cafe, I had been to every bar, I had been to every I'd been to every park. And I really got into like a pretty bad depression about it last Christmas time. Which is why I ended up doing my like big New York trip where I went to New York. I mean, I went to Madison Square Garden and saw Mariah Carey and ended up meeting Mariah Carey. So what a great way to get out of, like a mental burnout. Um, but I've never been so burnt out in my life. And it feels really, really, really hard to talk about this because I feel that like whenever I've talked about like going through other things like the Colleen thing, whatever, um, it's been something people are very much so aware of already. I've talked about it, but with this, it's kind of like I'm bringing it to the forefront. Oh my god, I'm like gonna cry. I just have never felt burnout like I have felt it within the past year. Um, and I really, really, really started to isolate myself, and I just felt very stuck. And I kept renewing my contract in my apartment out of comfortability because I didn't want to move. Because the thought of moving was almost scarier than the thought of the burnout getting worse. And the burnout for the past year has been immense, where I have been like sleeping throughout the day and then sleeping throughout the night, and like not seeing that many people because I've just kind of closed myself off. And it got really, really, really bad when the Colleen thing kicked off again. And the only saving grace was that the Colleen thing kicked off whenever I had already planned to go to Los Angeles with my mom. I don't know where I would be if the Colleen thing had kicked off and I was just like, had nothing to like look forward to, if you will. But knowing that I was going to be hanging out with my mom and I was going to be going to LA really made the Colleen thing easier in a way for me mentally, because I had my mom by my side. I had a distraction of this trip, and I just don't know what I would have done if I didn't have that, because I was in the worst mental space living in Brighton because I felt so burnt out with. Okay, I don't mean this to sound dramatic, and this isn't like a worrying thing, but I felt burnt out with like my current life, because I had no like challenges, you know what I mean? I had no challenges in life. I felt that I was living in Brighton for the sake of living in Brighton and not wanting to try something new. So it was a case of when the Colleen thing happened, for better or for worse, it kind of made me reevaluate a lot of things in my life. One of the main things being with how far away I am from my family, which is like killer. Um, because when the Colleen thing was happening, if I didn't have that trip with my mom, I would have spent all of that on my own. You know, Derry and Brighton are so far away from each other. You know, for Brighton, you can go from Brighton to London Gatwick, which is like 40 minutes or like an hour, which is an airport, and then fly to Belfast, which is like an hour and a half away from Derry, and then drive to Derry an hour and a half, and then I'm with my parents, and then the full thing back again. And it just was too much hassle to go home. So I spent so much time that I could have gone home not going home because it was such an effort. And so, for better or for worse, one thing the Colleen taught me, what the Colleen situation taught me, was I kind of need to prioritize um, being able to go home more often without living back home, because I don't want to live in Derry. I really don't want to live in Derry. Like, it's not for me. It's, great. And I know someone was saying like, oh, like Americans drive 9 hours for a quick vacation. I get that and I understand that, but I also have responsibilities with having, the dogs and the cats. So that's something to consider. And animal care in Brighton is very, very, very expensive. Like, this is speaking completely honestly with you right now. So whenever I do a trip, I spend more money getting my animals looked after than I do on the trip. So, for example, whenever I went to LA, booking the dogs and cats to get looked after cost more money than my flights to America for 2 people to go to America, and costed more than my hotel for 10 days for me and my mum. Because in the south of England, things are very, very, very expensive. And also in the south of England, it's very easy for people to put their prices up. So I was spending more money getting my animals looked after than the trip, which meant that I never went home. Not that I couldn't afford it, because I'm not saying that, but because it wasn't worth the money. Like, for me to go home to Ireland right now, I would have to get everyone booked in, and I'm going home next week. Just to like throw a number out there to give you a little bit of context on why this like needs to happen. I am going home next week and I have the animals booked in for like 4 nights, and it's £800. Like, it's £800 to get them looked after. And the reason for that is because there's so little people down in Brighton that, are like animal sitters or something like that, right? So it's not financially smart to go home as often as I want to go home. And that, not being able to see my parents because of that, is something that really, really, really started to weigh on me when the Colleen thing happened. And I was already feeling a kind of way about Brighton anyway, where I was kind of like, all right, I've already done everything. I feel that I'm just burnt out with this place. I absolutely love Brighton, but I just felt very burnt out. Like, oh, I've done everything, which isn't the case, but I just kind of got in my own head about it. And then, like I said, the Colleen thing re-triggered everything. And so then I started, thinking about other places in the UK that would make it easier to be able to go home. And I'm thinking of Manchester, because in Manchester, I can fly straight from Manchester to Derry. Like, I can fly straight from Manchester to Derry, which is such a wild concept. Like, Derry has an airport that's like this size, but Manchester flies to it. And also, north and south of England, 2 very, very, very different experiences. So in the south, on the site that I get my animals looked after right now, there's like 4 people. So the 4 people can put their prices up so much because there's only 4 people doing it. Whereas in Manchester, in the north, there are so many people that are, animal sitters, that the prices are normal, which means that I would be able to go home much easier, right? And then I've also been overwhelmingly stressed because I've been living in my apartment for over 3 years. and things keep going wrong in my apartment. I'm not saying anything to throw any property management or anything under the bus, because they've all been great. However, I have most of my door handles in my apartment are not on. Like, I don't even know where it is anymore. My door handle, here it is. Whoa, sorry, nearly. Hold on, let me prove something to you. My apartment is literally like falling apart. Because I've been here for so long, and I've had open conversations with my property management, and they've said things like, we normally will touch up the apartment between tenants, and you're now a long-term tenant, and we didn't think you were going to be a long-term tenant. So I signed a contract for a short-term tenancy. I signed on for 6 months. I'm now here for 3 years. So there's a big difference in that. My furniture is, like cheap furniture that like landlords buy, right? For like people to stay there for 6 months, and then after the 6 months they get rid of it. However, I have, for 3 years, I have been, using the same like landlord special sofa, which is falling apart. And I'm not legally allowed to get rid of it because it's part of the contract, and then money will come out of my deposit if I get rid of it. So there's that. My door handles are constantly falling off because everything needs to be changed. Everything needs to be changed every tenancy, but I've been here so long now, and it's very hard for me to get those things done. Again, I'm not throwing anyone under the bus because I love, love, love my property management. They're actually really, really, really great. But I've been contacting about my door handles for so long, and I can't even close this bedroom door or else I will get locked in. And my bedroom one is on thin ice, and my living room one on some days will not open. My fridge and freezer no longer work because they need maintenance. But for me to get maintenance means that I'm still a tenant, and it's going to be a big process of removing them, and so I don't have a working fridge right now, and I haven't for quite some time. And the last thing is, I recently, literally like 3 days ago, my landlord organized for me to get an air filter put into my apartment. So I get the air filter put in my apartment, and it literally is broken. Like my air filter is broken in my apartment, which isn't a problem, but anytime I turn on my bathroom light now, it triggers the air filter, which means that the air filter turns on whenever I turn on the bathroom light, and it literally it sounds like someone's trying to push something out of metal, and it screeches and it scares the dogs. So here's the thing. I have been so just in the depths of shit mentally because I'm spending a lot of money on this apartment. I am. And it's not worth it for me anymore. Like, I've been here for 3 years, and I should have gotten all of this, all of this should have been maintained by now, because I was only supposed to be here for 6 months, and then I ended up staying for 3 years. You know what I mean? So it's in a sense, it's my fault. You know what I mean? Like, I did sign a 6-month contract, and I loved the apartment so much that I ended up staying for 3 years. However, I can't stay here for another 3 years. I can't stay here for another 3 years. So when all of that was happening with the apartment, right? And then mentally, I was feeling stuck in Brighton. And then whenever the Colleen thing happened, like I said, it just it made me hit a wall, and I wasn't showing it online because I didn't want to show it online. I have enough people that are rooting against me anyways that I did not want to feed into that anymore, and I wasn't going to allow that anymore. I was not going to allow people online to win. So I was so depressed when the Colleen thing was happening because I was so dealing with so much. And I'm dealing with everything out here on my own. And I can't see my family. I'm so far away from everyone. It's just not great. And then, sorry, I don't mean to just keep adding things on. About a month or a couple weeks into the Colleen thing, I get doxxed, which we're all aware of. And for quite some time, my address has been floating around the internet, which is fine. I'm in an apartment block. It's fine. However, the amount of people that have said threatening things in relation to knowing where I live is when it's not fine. So I'm currently dealing with people on Reddit posting my literal address. I'm dealing with not being able to go home seeing my family because I live so fucking far away. I'm dealing with staying in a short-term apartment long-term, and it needs so much maintenance, but for me to do the maintenance, I need to move out. But then I would just be moving in after they did that. And also, that on top of the Colleen thing, which has been weighing me down, on top of me feeling so burnt out living in Brighton, I need to move. I need to move. I need to move. I need to move. I really need to move. Like, it's too much. And the thought of moving is, I mean, last night, not to just bring it to that place, but I've already said that, like, I was just crying last night because I was like, I've only known this apartment and I've only known Brighton. And the thought of leaving this apartment is so terrifying to me because it is a comfort. You know what I mean? Like, everything happened to me here, good or bad. But the thought of me leaving this apartment that I brought Tyler up in and that Tyler died in is so sad that the thought, I'm not going to take it to this place. Oh my God. The thought of the apartment that I raised Tyler in, who was my first cat that I got like the day I moved to Brighton. And the thought of leaving this place feels like I'm leaving him behind. And I'm aware that I have his ashes now. Oh my God. I'm aware that I have his ashes now. And that it's not about the place or whatever. But for me, I'm a very home-driven person. And I'm a very... whenever I say materialistic, I mean it in terms of, like, I get attachment to things. So, like, in this room, I remember different memories of when my friends came to stay. Or my bedroom, like, different movie nights I had. Or in the living room, like, different parties I had. Or, like, even down to the hallway. Like, I remember whenever I had to take Milo to the hospital. And this is a sad story because he almost died because the person I got him from didn't like flea and worm him, or he had like something wrong with him that he almost died. And I remember taking him from the vets and he came back and he had to have so many drips. So his paws were in these little casts and he looked so cute. And it's a sad memory, but he looked so cute. And I remember that moment. I was in the hallway. I remember, you know, bringing Dolly home and raising Dolly. Like, I raised Dolly in this apartment, you know, and Bonnie came from Ireland. And, you know, there's so many memories here that I feel that I'm like leaving a part of me whenever I leave this apartment. And that terrifies me. And it's almost making me not want to move and just renew my apartment contract again. But I know that it's the right thing to do. Because I'm also scared of the fact that people are posting my address online. And I can't even get into the conversation of, like, I haven't done anything wrong with the Colleen thing and my address is being, like, weaponized online. Like, I'm not going to take it there, but there is a conversation to have there. And maybe for better or for worse, people doxing me and trying to, like, threaten me and they're going to wait outside the restaurant that's near me or whatever. Maybe that's a sign that, okay, maybe I should move. I just feel like I'm being rushed into it, but maybe everything coming together is for a right purpose, I guess. Um, I'm just really, really, really scared. Um, being 100% honest with you. And it's the reason that I feel like I've made this video so many times. I feel like I've made this exact video probably 2 times in staying in Brighton, where I've been like, I'm not going to renew my contract. And because it's been something that I've thought for a while, because again, this is a short term apartment. This is like, these are like apartments that people like Airbnb out for like summertime. Like staying here for long, like literally all of my neighbors have like moved twice. Like, no, none of the OGs are here. Like I'm the OG from like 2021, right? Because you're normally meant to stay here for like 6 months to a year. The apartment gets redid. People come in. Not 3 fucking years. But I just loved it so much. And I also love the fact that I also, have so many memories here. Sorry, I'm repeating myself. So this is the part where I'm scared because my apartment is up for renewal at the start of October, which means that I need to move in the next few weeks, which is unbelievably terrifying because I don't have a place yet. I don't know where, so today I spent all day going through like property managements and I hold on, sorry, I'm just responding. So today I spent all day going through different property managements, and keep in mind as well, like I'm not just like someone like just renting. Like I'm renting, and it needs to like allow animals, and it needs to like there's certain things and criteria that needs to be met. So it's not a case of like, I love that apartment, I'm going to move in. They need to allow animals. They need to be in an area that's safe for the animals. They need to, these kind of things as well. They need to be in an area that I feel comfortable in because I live alone. And I also, what sounds so stupid is one of the main things I'm looking for in an apartment is that there's an unknown view because I'm scared of people doxing me again. So I'm like looking at apartments right now in Manchester, and I'm like, they allow animals, but when you look out the window, is there like somewhere that you can pinpoint, you know what I mean? That people would be able to find my address? Because people weaponized that in the Brighton one. They did. So there's a lot. It's not as easy as me just being like, love that apartment. So I think I found one. I mean, I spent all day today. I think I found one. And on Monday, I have to have a call. However, the move-in is practically immediate, which is terrifying because I've never moved all on my own before. Like my dad moved me to Brighton. Like he came over with me and helped me, like this time I'm on my own, like I am on my own this time. And Brighton is here. Manchester is way up here. It's like 5-6 hours. And I'm on my own and it's scary. It's exciting, but it's scary. And I will have to do it within the next few weeks because, I need to see if I'm going to get this apartment on Monday. If I get it or if I don't get it, I need to look for another one because my apartment is ending here at the end of September, start of October, which means that I need to let them know like 4 weeks in advance, which is in like 2 weeks, which means that within 2 weeks, I need to have moved into a place that doesn't exist yet, which is terrifying. And there's a lot I can't say whenever it comes to the doxing and stuff, but there was something that happened a couple days ago that has really jump-started the process of me feeling nervous in my apartment. And I really can't talk about what happened, but I can't really talk about what happened, but it's time to move. And I feel that for better or for worse, I'm kind of being pushed into moving. You know what I mean? Um, but the last thing I'll say on this is, oh, also, remember I was going to go to New York for my birthday? Remember I was going to go to New York for my birthday? That's not happening. I'm not moving. I'm not moving and then the next week going to New York for my birthday. There's no way that's happening. Um, there's no way under God that is happening. Um, there's no possible way for me to do that. Like I would literally combust. Um, so anyway, that is going to be moved back. And probably do that, whatever. But the last thing I'll say is I'm really, really, really nervous. I told all my friends about it today in Brighton. Oh my God. I'm like, and I think I'm upset because I know that it's the right thing to do as well, because I'm not that happy here anymore. I told all my friends about it in Brighton, and obviously the response wasn't great. Which made me feel bad. But then it was like, like I have to do it for like my own safety at this stage, because like people were trying to like, I can't really say what happened with the doxing, but so the thought of moving and knowing nobody again is terrifying. And then I think about it and I'm like, oh well, I was 18 when I moved to Brighton, you know what I mean? And I knew no one. I moved like just off the pandemic, so like, that arguably like all odds were against me then versus now, but it's really, really, really scary. It's really, really, really scary, the thought of moving. I need to wipe my nose because I don't want to be snotty on camera. We love this, right? So, hold on, my friends just texted me. Oh, my friends are watching. Hi. So the thought of like being all alone again is scary. And the thought of starting all over is scary. Someone said you're a beast, baby. I am. Got a beast inside and I'm wicked. So I'm more nervous to move this time than what I am whenever I was 18 moving country, which is weird. And I just would love advice on moving and like how to make it as easy as possible. And I feel like I'm always someone that's like, travel the world and meet new people and stuff. And here I am being a hypocrite where I'm like terrified to move city because I'm going to be like all alone. And I'm going to have, the animals with me and stuff. But I'm going to be honest, I literally just feel like I'm about to like fucking explode with stress because I have to move, unfortunately now, because of safety, which is so fucking stupid. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even within my capability anymore whether I want to, fucking stay here, because, I mean, it's all over the fucking internet anyway. And people are fucking trying to I can't talk about what happened, but... And it's like... So it's like, what needs to happen? I know that it'll be what'll be good for me. A new change. I mean, I was already very burnt out anyway, and maybe it's a sign. Maybe my fucking fridge and freezer breaking on the same day that like the doxing gets really bad is maybe a sign to just fucking do it. So that's the update. I guess that I need to start packing. I don't know where to start. What the fuck am I supposed to do with these bitches? Like, it's going to be a very, very, very... If I thought the last couple weeks were stressful, just wait and see. So, to kind of close off, pros are my address won't be online, weaponized by Colleen Ballinger fans. Love it. Number 2, I'll have door handles that work. Number 3, I'll have a fridge and freezer that works. And number 4, I'll have new furniture. Number 5, I can fly home and see my parents. I can fly direct to Derry. And animal care is affordable. Also, you know, I think that, and this is like, just kind of speaking, and you're aware of this as well if you're an animal owner. I think that the past month I've been like reflecting my attitude onto my animals, and it's making me like devastated. Like, I can tell that like specifically my dogs are picking up on my low vibe. And I can tell that specifically Dolly is like way more chilled out than usual, and it makes me sad. Like yesterday, I took Dolly out for a walk and she didn't want to run after the tennis ball, which is the only thing she wants to do. She wanted to just walk by my side and stuff. And I think that I'm kind of not knowing it and reflecting my kind of like attitude towards life right now on my animals. So another pro is like, you know, it's a new start for all of us. You know what I mean? And the only negatives is I'm going to be walking away from all of my friends. And I have never been to Manchester before. Then again, I had never been to Brighton before I moved here, so that's not something that's stopping me. The con is just the fear of the unknown, I guess, and walking away from everything. But that's the update. That's what's happening. I cannot tell you how overwhelmingly stressed I am right now. And like a week or so ago, whenever I was in Paris, I did an interview. I feel like I can just kind of say what it was for. I think I'm fine to say it now. I did an interview with Swip, whenever I was in Paris, and I was a mess during that interview. And from that day on, I have felt so. Oh, I've already told you. Okay. From that day on, I have felt so overwhelmingly like a Coke bottle that has Mentos in it that is about to fucking explode. I have been so on edge and so stressed out since that interview, and this is nothing on Swip, but it's 100% just on like dealing with like my personal things with the apartment and people like weaponizing my address and feeling unsafe, and then the online stuff, and it's just like, and then also trying to like hold myself well online. And it's like people have been like, I saw this post on Reddit today, which was super sweet, and it was on the Colleen Ballinger snark, and it was really, really, really sweet. And it was like something along the lines of like, Adam has been holding himself so good or something like that in this entire thing. And I literally wanted to cry whenever I read it, because I feel the complete opposite of that. And I feel that I can't show myself in a way that isn't just confident or isn't just not backing down. And it really, really, really is getting to me, because I feel that everyone else in this topic is allowed to mess up. I feel that everyone else in this topic is allowed to fuck. Most of them aren't even telling the truth. You know what I mean? And yet they're allowed to come online, and they're allowed to cry, and they're allowed to play the victim, and they're allowed to, you know, make it all about themselves, and they're allowed to do all this. But like, if I ever don't hold myself in a confident light, or I don't ever hold myself in a nice light or something, then I'm the worst in the world. And it's really, really, really getting to me whenever like I feel that my entire personal life is like bubbling up, and I feel that I can't come online and not hold myself like confident and, you know, willing for anything and stuff like that. And it's like, not to bring the conversation to that, but once again, I didn't ask for any of this to come up again, but I just feel that like there's like this really weird double standard that like anyone who's coming and going from this fucking topic, whether they're involved or not, is allowed to handle themselves in an awful way, and it's okay. And I'm not. Like, I'm not even allowed to not handle myself in an awful way. It's not my point. I'm not allowed to make any mistakes. I'm not allowed to misspeak once on Colleen. I'm not allowed to misspeak once on Trisha. I'm not allowed to misspeak once on Thing. And it's so much pressure. And so this is me being 100% honest with you right now. And I haven't been this honest about this topic like this and how I feel ever on this channel. And I'm being 100% honest with you because there is just, between my address being like weaponized online to having to move because of that, to like just feeling overwhelmingly burnt out and stuff like that, I literally feel like I'm at my wit's end with like just talking in general. I'm fine, don't worry, I'm not saying it like that, but I'm just being honest with you, you know what I mean? Like, I'm being honest about this. I'm fine, don't worry. Oh my God, I speak with my parents, you know, all the time and stuff like that, and I'm doing well, but I'm just saying that it feels like so much pressure. And then there's so much pressure, and then now I have this added level of I need to move because people are like weaponizing my address against me. And I've kind of already wanted to move anyway, but now it's kind of like I'm being forced to do so. So I did not mean to rant, but I'm not going to apologize for it because I've wanted to get that out for a long time. I have been wanting to just say all of that for a long time. And I feel that there have been so many people online that will not allow me to talk like this because they will go, oh, Adam's going off the rails, or, you know, the online world's getting too much for Adam, and, you know, definitely seems like he's losing it. And it's like, you would too, bitch. You would too, bitch. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not even allowed to basically have like an open conversation and give my honest opinion without people being like, oh, it seems like the internet world is getting too much for him. And then it's like, what? You want me to sit on here every fucking day, smile on my face and be like, let's talk about the grooming, or let's talk about, you know, let's talk about another person involved in this who has fucking lied, or let's talk about another person in this who has fucking, you know, betrayed the story or used it for their own gain or something like that. It's like, it feels like so much fucking pressure behind and on camera. And I'm fine, I can deal with it, but for me to be able to move forward online and continue to talk in general, I feel that I've needed to sit down and talk about all what I just talked about there now. So I thank you for allowing me to do that, but I just feel that I could not have sat down here any longer and not address the fact of what is going on behind the scenes right now in so many different ways. Like, this is literally just like all personally things. Like, there's other things as well, but I'm literally saying, like, there was no way for me to feel that I could sit here and talk about anything else, if I did not have that open bit of dialogue, because people will send me things and they'll be like, oh, fucking cat hair right here. Did I get it? I got it. People will be like, about anything I do. Does anyone think Adam's losing it? Does anyone think Adam had a little bit of an attitude today? Does anyone think that Adam... And I'm like, you expect so much of someone who did not want this to be brought up. Of course is going to talk about it because it's being talked about now, and then we'll fucking move on. But also, the fact that that energy isn't kept for people who've actually fucked up within this, and it's like, I don't know if people are maybe going like lashing out because like their perception of what they thought was going to happen in this situation didn't happen. Like, I don't know if people are like, Colleen isn't deplatformed, we'll take it out on Adam because, you know, he's still going, or nothing happened that we wanted it to happen or something. And I just want people to, like, if I can leave you with anything, I'm going through so much right now personally because of this situation, and publicly because of this situation, that being put under the like little microscope is of course going to make me feel fucking crazy. And I want you to know that I can promise you from deep... By the way, do you think that my mother would allow me to be on YouTube right now, or be on Twitch, or be on here talking to you like this if she didn't think that I was fine? No, I speak to her every single fucking day, and she can validate that. This is literally just being fucking human and needing to like say something and put something out there about this, that for people who will say, you know, the way Adam's handling things, I'm literally having to move city because of this. Like, I feel so unsafe in my apartment because of this. So don't hit me with what you would do in this situation, or I would do that, or I would do. Don't hit me with that, because you're not the one in the situation. And so I want to let you all know that I'm so stressed about the thought of moving, but I am very excited. And it's a new thing that I'm going to be doing. It's a new life change. It's going to be fucking deranged. I'm so nervous, but I'm like excited nervous. You know what I mean? So I will leave you with that. I do want to validate again that I promise you I'm doing well, but there was no way for me to continue existing in an online capacity if I was not honest about this, because people are going to be wondering why I'm no longer in Brighton. People will be speculating. That's the truth. This is the truth. Everything that I've just told you is exactly what is happening right now. So do with that what you will. I just honestly felt that I needed to sit down here and talk and let the update you, because I feel that if I wasn't, then I wouldn't have been being honest. And throughout all of this, one thing I have tried to fucking do is stay honest in any capacity. So that's the update. Again, nothing is confirmed. Nothing is confirmed. And I will be knowing on Monday what is happening further, but I don't think I'm going to renew the contract anymore because it's not safe. It's not safe to do it. It's not safe to do it. So again, in closing, because I know that there was someone commented and was like, maybe you need to restrict your time online. And here's my thing to that. I'm sorry, but like, that is so ridiculous to say. This is what I'm going to end it on a little rant. That is such a ridiculous thing to say. And I know one of my mods deleted it. Someone was like, you need to restrict your time on the internet. Do you realize that everyone else is talking about this? Do you realize if we're speaking about this specific instance, and then furthermore, do you also, thank you, I know my mom deleted it, and then also, do you also realize that this is my job? Streaming, uploading, this is my job. I'm so grateful it's my job, and I love that it's my job. Being honest and sitting down and talking about where you're at mentally and stuff like that does not take away from the fact that you need to completely ostracize yourself from online or anything. I've been dealing with this topic for 3 years, but very heavily for 3 months. Very heavily for 3 months. I will continue existing in the online world in a healthy capacity that works for me. And whenever it's not healthy for me, I'll stop talking. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at with it. I'm so nervous about what is to come. I don't know how to move. Whenever I moved to Brighton, I got all my stuff after I moved. So the fact that I need to like pick and choose what the fuck I'm bringing 6 hours, I don't even know. And then as well, like, it might not even be Manchester. It might be, it's moving in some capacity. It's moving in some capacity. So I'll know on Monday. So I'm going to be spending my weekend doing the very exciting task of what do I like in the apartment and want to keep. So thank you for allowing me to sit down and rant. Again, I want to let you know that I'm fine. And someone coming on and ranting or someone coming on and crying does not mean that they are unstable in any way. Because I know a lot of people are, maybe it's time for you to leave the internet. Maybe it's time for you. By the way, this is just being honest. And by the way, if you had seen me in some of the states that I was in for the past 3 months, you would have told me to get offline then. You know what I mean? And I was fine. This is literally just sitting down and being honest and telling you where I am at. So that's that. I appreciate you listening. And thank you so much.